Hello my lovely and iconic witches, I'm the underrated and powerful merciless underscore witch which I'm finally back after being sick till death, that I even was in the hospital. Yeah, we're not going to talk about on what happened, and in today's video we're going to talk about why Meet Your Maker is going to die since it got released, which means it's time to shit talk the game, or what merciless underscore haters would call me. Being an Andrew Tate version of Dead by Daylight. Look, I'm not the person to call something dead when it just got released except when I stream on Twitch, which you by the way should check out since I'm streaming there right now, because this is stupid like the whole Dead by Daylight community on Twitter is, but we have to talk about the serious issues such as that the game is coming from Behavior Interactive, or when it comes to the update history from their games, that people like me which are having no live, stalk trough, their update history down from Behavior Interactive's games. But before I spoil too much and starting into the video, do I want to thank my merciless underscore supporters Alejandro 2023, which supports videos such as these to make, and there is a link under the video description down below to support my work here so that I can buy more assets for my videos. With no more further than said, let's start on why I won't buy the game for at least a year, why I'm concerned about the life support in general, and on why Behavior Interactive is the problem on all this. Act 1, Behavior Interactive's history. Look, I know that sudden groups are trying to discredit my opinion, because I didn't play the game yet, and only watched 300 hours worth of Let's Plays from it, but that has a reason for it, which is not me being a hypocrite, because I'm already a hypocrite in Dead by Daylight, and I can't do both. But the reason for not buying Meet Your Maker and not reviewing it is because of Behavior Interactive. Behavior Interactive is known for killing of projects which aren't getting them the instant success or money which they received with Dead by Daylight. Like, remember Death Garden? Of course you don't, because you're not the hypocrite here, but that was Behavior's first game after Dead by Daylight, which was much better than the pathetic version of Dead by Daylight nowadays with angry Karen noises and sad crying survivor mains everywhere. They killed that game off when it finally got momentum, where people played it, streamed it everywhere for like a whole week, where it died then, since they didn't bother to promote it or update it anymore till they finally took the servers offline before even trying to make it free toply just to see if people were interested into it, which they clearly were at some point if we're looking at those statistics. The most tragic part about Death Garden was that it was actually better than Dead by Daylight, with both sides having equal chances to win or better, not letting those survivors just having randomly skins every 3 months like Dead by Daylight is doing, but also giving them unique abilities. I know, something which a Dead by Daylight survivor main could never have in the current state of crying Karens and babies on Twitter, but it felt like that Death Garden was the grown-up version from Dead by Daylight just because you didn't had those screamers around you, with much less bugs, and with a better gameplay loop than Dead by Daylight. Another example was Dead by Daylight Mobile, the version which wasn't from NetEase, which they proudly promoted in an update stream 2021 ago, and surprise surprise, this game even didn't survive for 8 months before that game was removed from the App Store, while letting the mobile players starving for new content before they killed it off, which is more sad to think since the NetEase version is doing better than the original. Flipping Misfits, a game where you do something. Yeah, that thing died off so fastly that it didn't even got 60 reviews for it, and surprise surprise, it didn't got any promotion, no fucking support, or no community to begging with, because this game doesn't know what it wants it to be. Wants it to be a Rocket League clone mixed with just being a person, or what? No one knows, because no one wants to play it since no one heard of it. The point is that Behavior Interactive killed several projects just because they didn't made enough money in time. Meet Your Maker, or as I like to call it, Meet Your Next Cash Milking Cash Cow, got at least a lot of promotion, but like with the other games, is this game going to die at that second where the numbers aren't good enough, and where Behavior Interactive is just too lazy to make any updates for it, especially when Dead by Daylight is continuously needing updates 24/7, or the community is crying again that Dead by Daylight is dying. And we know how that ended last time, with me being trashed on ground, which I don't want to be happened again, just because it didn't got the updates which sudden YouTubers wanted to have it. There is one game, yes, one game which is sad to say by the way, which although survived was hooked on you, a romance simulation for Sims which are refusing to go outside to touch some grass because of weird complexes. But I mean, it's a romance simulation about Dead by Daylight characters, which also gave the people which bought the game some extra skins in Dead by Daylight, like Death Garden or Meet Our Next Cash Cow Machine did. But my point is that Behavior Interactive doesn't know how to promote their games well, or how to update their games enough, since they don't need their care about it because of Dead by Daylight, which is going to be the reason why the game is going to die. Act 2, Dead by Daylight updates vs Meet Your Maker updates. Behavior Interactive only has so much developers, or as I like to call them, overworked underpaid money generators that they can take away from Dead by Daylight before the YouTubers are starting to cry again on YouTube and Twitter on how the game is dying just because the community lost -0.001% of players on Steam, just to jump back and feeling themselves when they finally blackmailed Behavior Interactive so much to remove sudden updates, just because they are lacking on skills. This fact combined with the act that Behavior Interactive is killing off their games faster than me when I see Sofarex shit talking about me on his Twitter again, leaves a sore taste, because that means that people are looking over to the Meet Your Maker updates, and they will complain when Meet Our Next Money Milking Cash Cow is getting more updates or more frequent updates than Dead by Daylight. Just with this, does that mean that the succubus is limited because the community won't accept in another game than Dead by Daylight receiving more updates, because the Dead by Daylight community doesn't understand that there are other players in this universe, and that they are only getting used from Behavior Interactive to getting milked as much as they can?
Gosh, I really need to stop using the word milking, but I can't nothing for it if the topic is about something like this.
Or shortly said, since Dead by Daylight is a game which is under the top 20 most played Steam games currently, and with that more successful than the rest of the other games on Steam, is Meet Your Maker basically handicapped since its big brother is getting more prioritized, since Dead by Daylight is making the most money for Behavior Interactive than Meet Your Maker, since Behavior Interactive has no incentives to give their everything into Meet Your Maker, especially when a lot of the community are raging once a year, in March to be exact, that they will boycott Dead by Daylight since doing anything else creative as a DBD content creator would be work, which trust me, those YouTubers are trying, really hardcore trying not to put any edits or scripts into their videos. But Meet Your Maker's update will be smaller, or not as big, as the ones of Dead by Daylight since the company doesn't care enough about Meet Your Maker, and if they would the DBD community make a huge shitshow out of it, like they are usually doing. Act 3, Wrong Budget Spending. Okay, this is now mean from me, but we also have to talk about the budget spending which they did with Meet Our Next Money Making Cash Cow, because in my opinion did they spend way too much on advertisements or sponsorings, and way too less into developers, and so with it, less features which will avenge itself in the future. But what do I mean with it? Several weeks before the launch of Meet Your Maker, and at the launch from Meet Your Maker, did Behavior Interactive run advertisements on YouTube about Meet Your Maker, and that people should come and try it out for free, which could have been fine since that's for what advertisements here, to advertise something. But in what it failed was to actually launch the open beta, since I wanted to try it out, but when I clicked on the advertisement, was the open beta already done, and not playable anymore, aka you are running advertisements,
which I by the way had 24/7, which means that they probably paid for a lot of views on Google AdSense,
for a game which you couldn't pre-order 2 weeks before the launch was announced, which meant you're basically burning money and not convert those which watched those ads into paying customers. But the next thing which hurted to see was sponsorings on a lot of YouTube channels when Meet Your Maker came out, but on channels which are having no contact points to that video game genre. But why does it hurt more? Well, Google AdSense advertisement views are only costing around €500 if you want to target between 86,000 up to 120,000 potential customers or more. A sponsoring on a YouTube channel which archives on an average about 100 up to 500,000 views, and has a decent following from, let's say, between 100 and 50,000 followers, can cost between €20,000 if you don't know your worth and don't want to handle out more money, up to €50,000 or more if you know that your viewers are worth more. It depends like on how much follower or views you are archiving and the type of sponsorings. But since we're talking about Behavior Interactive, are we not talking about 30 seconds or 60 seconds little ads inside of the video, but more rather full-blown videos which the content creator is playing the game for the whole video, which can make it costly. There are also rare cases where the advertiser is paying a sudden CPM for a max cap on views, but which are again more rare since YouTubers would have to ask frequently for their money for several weeks, which they usually don't like to do. So it's more likely that they book the whole sponsorings, since CPMs can be hurting them more in the end run. But since it's Behavior Interactive is Behavior Interactive, did they also spend money on content creators to stream it for several hours, which can be costing them a lot more?
But since I'm not a streamer, and only a YouTuber currently,
will it probably be more expensive than videos, since I saw them spamming sponsoring and paid streams everywhere. They did also go the extra mile and paid Zombie, a German YouTuber which really had nothing to do with Behavior Interactive, to make 3 videos about the game, which means that they at least spent probably over 250 up to 500,000 euros just for sponsorings, when not even more, since they literally sponsored everyone, even from the Dead by Daylight community, which is by the way stupid to do, since you are literally taking active players out from your one existing game just into another game from you and splitting the player base with it quite a bit. But the point which I am trying to make is that they could have spent much less on sponsoring sponsorings, and only focus on channels which are having something to do with the categories from the game, and put that marketing money into the developers and graphic designers to make more modes, more blocks in the game, more locations, or in general more for the player to experience. Like, I get it that sponsorings and advertisements are there to help giving attention for the game, but the thing is that there is something called targeted advertisement, which a lot of people are practicing since that is cheaper than sponsor everyone and anyone, and I think that this was quite a bad move from them to do, since there's more sponsored content out from the game than actually gameplay or unsponsored gameplay, which people in the gaming scene really don't like, since they can't watch any content about this game without putting Behavior Interactive a hand before the content creator's mouth, since they have a far better experience with the game since they received money for it than people which just had to bought the game with their money. This is not making me sad because they basically left out on much more potential for this game, but also because it shrinks the chances more that people are playing it and getting a foot in the video game scene, since all the content which does exist is either sponsored or somehow limited, since the game in my opinion is quite limiting on what it gives, especially when the price tag for a multiplayer game is €30, unlike the €20 from Dead by Daylight. Act 4, too much for too less. Behavior interactive games are usually focusing on one core thing in the gameplay, forget the rest from the game, and tries to come with a gameplay loop which didn't work out for several of their dead games. Meet Your Maker has the same issue with focusing at building a dungeon and surviving the dungeon without dying so much, and managing your gun. Sudden materials are hidden on the map which you will need to make your base,
which by the way sucks because it means you are getting forced to play sudden maps several times so that you get enough material for making a base, which is hard to come through.
The traps which you can put into your dungeons are okayish, but the limitation from the blocks is what is holding some dungeons back, since you can build as big and creative as you wanted to, and it doesn't help that the games has sometimes sudden breaking points where it's very hard to survive a map without dying 300,000 times. I get the concept behind it, which reminds me a lot of Super Mario Maker 2,
which it literally is.
I know I'm such smart hypocrite, but what Meet Your Maker is failing is that there is just kinda way too less for the price tag what it is asking. I wish that there would be more variation in the blocks, that the blocks limit would be so limiting, or that it would be easier to receive sudden blocks, since yes, you also have to earn them. You could be doing so much more, like that you not only have to steal one, but instead two of those red glowing thingies, which I forgot the name from it, since again, I won't play the game till it's survived a year. Or why didn't they put in some extra goals which you could have do like in Super Mario Maker 2? You probably get my point, and those wouldn't be an issue if they didn't cut fucking €500,000 from the development team, but Meet Your Maker is giving me the vibes of wanting to be Super Mario Maker 2, which the base would be there, but can't be because it's limit too much and it's forcing its players too much to do stuff which they don't want to. Or what I am saying is, Meet Your Maker wants to be the Dark Souls from the Super Mario Maker games, but can't because it lacks on fun, since it has to force you to do stuff, or else the game won't work for you anymore. I wished it had a clan feature, or a feature where you don't have to play alone, and where you can play with your friends, like in Super Mario Maker 2, which again, could have we all had when Behavior Interactive didn't decide to sponsor everyone's grandma on this universe, but it's just lacking too much that normal players are staying in this game, because it's already dropping under 1,000 players now after 2 weeks of being released, and this is just a review of a game which I only saw that little unsponsored content which I could have found in the internet, because I don't want to waste another €30 for an game, which will be faster dead than the Dead by Daylight community is coming when they don't like an update. I don't want to waste my money yet another time again, since I wasted so much money on Behavior Interactive's past project, that I want to see that it firstly survives 12 months without dying like Death Garden, or DBD Mobile, or any other jokes of games which they are planning to release. End words. I waited a dramatic month where I almost died literally because of the pain which I had to suffer. Trough. If Behavior can hold their player numbers and make the game somehow working, and after a month later writing this script, am I happy to say that I was right again, and that this game is more dead than sudden YouTubers after I'm fully recovered from the hospital. Meet Your Maker is a game which is doomed to fail at the start, since Behavior Interactive doesn't want to create good games, but more rather games where they can earn their ass off with microtransactions and DLCs till death, which is sad because Death Garden, Midfits and DBD Mobile had all potential but got dropped in under a year because they didn't made money, and Meet Your Maker will soon meet up the same fate because the numbers from in-game players dropped by 75% and no one on Twitch is interested at all to play this game, and that's sad because the base for a great game would be there, but it just happened to being created by a company which doesn't believe in its products, and by a company which made Dead by Daylight, where a lot of confused screamers are running around and starting to cry like little babies at the very second that this game might be stealing Dead by Daylight's place from player numbers, sales, or even updates. I really wanted to buy the game because the concept from Meet Your Maker is unique, and I think that not many video games touched on this create your own game thing. but in the end got Meet Your Maker ruined by its own creator, and all the games, which are getting released after are getting ruined from Behavior Interactive if they finally believe in their products, and stop trying to produce service life games after service life games every year. It's sad that I have to recommend to stay away from the game, but Behavior Interactive killed off all their games which got released after Dead by Daylight except for maybe the Simping Simulator, and I hope that this video can save a lot of people ending up being heartbroken when yet another service life game is dying from them. Thank you for watching my review to the game. Even if it wasn't a real review, join my stream right now on Twitch and my Discord server and stay merciless. By Heartsuit.